Hi and welcome back. If you're new to the channel, my name is Vince. Thanks for stopping by. You're very welcome here indeed. So 3 months has already gone. Time for my next update. Let's jump into the spreadsheet and see what the results are. So before I start the review, a couple of things that I believe will have affected my scores over the last 3 months. A little bit of background. My employment contract finished in the middle of June. The next one, after security clearance is done again, wouldn't start until nearer the end of the year. So our plan was to fly back to the Philippines, hang out for a couple of months, do some odd jobs around the house. So we handed over our rental apartment and we moved into an Airbnb in Dubai because that's where we're going to fly from. The plan was for me to commute for 2 weeks, and then the Delta variant hit the region. The Philippine government closed all flights from this area: UAE, Oman, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nepal. So we had to wait it out in Dubai, which is what we're still doing. So the apartment we are staying in is okay, but the curtains in the bedroom are paper thin. So even when I wear my sleep mask at night, as I always do, having just had a hot shower, my sleep has definitely been affected. Also, because we're in quite a built-up area in Dubai, the noise as well as the light goes on all night. Horns for cars, doors slamming, people shouting, etc. So I reckon that has definitely affected my sleep. There is a gym in the building, and I've been going to gyms now since, I don't know, 1982, something like that. This is the worst gym I've ever trained in my life. Very little equipment. Some of the equipment that is there, I reckon, is damaged, and all they've done is stuck a piece of paper on saying, because of social distancing, you can't use this piece of equipment, which saves them having to get it repaired. The dumbbells, which are on the floor, not in a rack, a lot of them are rusty. It's just a terrible gym. So I know that my fitness has suffered because of that over the last, we've been in here 2 months now. Then I tested positive for coronavirus. That was great. I had to quarantine for 10 days. Luckily, I had very few symptoms, and those symptoms I did have were extremely mild, and you'll see later on, I'll mention it in one of the metrics that I talk about. The only really thing that bugged me was a sore throat. Not sore as in painful, but sore as in hoarse. So when I spoke, it was difficult to understand me. And if you look back over the videos, there's probably a 2-week period where I posted more of the kind of the 5-minute David Sinclair, Rhonda Patrick type videos as opposed to mine, because you wouldn't have liked what I sounded like. The Philippine government has continued to extend this ban every 2 weeks. So what I did do was I bit the bullet and I signed on to a local gym on a month-by-month basis, and I will continue to train there. So hopefully the end of the next 3 months, my gym performance stats will definitely have improved. I'll make mention of what I've just spoken about now as I go through, and if there is a particular result that looks a bit weird, I will make reference to this. Now, for the instant gratification freaks who've already skipped all of this and gone on to the bit that they want to see, they might be a bit perplexed when I talk about or I make reference to this, but then I'm sure they'll live. So let's go on to my objective stats. Let's look at my weight. So my weight at the end of July was 86.7 kilos, which is 191.1 pounds. That's down 2.4 since the last 3 months, and which is 5.3 pounds, and down 5.3 kilos since I started. And if you think back to the last video I did, I said that I was upping my exercise from 2 to 4 times a week to 3 to 5, because I really did have a lot of energy and I just wanted to get rid of it. That took a bit of a hit for all the reasons I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but although I'm losing weight now that I've started in this new gym, I don't seem to have lost an awful lot of power. I'm still lifting quite heavy weights. Next one is BMI. You know what I think about BMI. So it's now 28.3. That's down 0.8 from the last check and down 1.7 from the start. And as far as BMI is concerned, technically I am still between 25 and 29, so I am technically overweight. Percentage body fat, that is now 24.10. That's down 2.1 since the last check, so I've lost a little bit of body fat, and that's down 2.4 since I first started. Muscle mass, now I'm expecting this to have gone down quite a lot because I probably haven't been in the gym consistently for maybe 6 or 7 weeks. So it's 34.6, which strangely is up 1.1 since the last check, and up 1.1 since I started using these new scales, as opposed to the ones that were in Gold's gym. My basal metabolic rate is 1786, which is down 30. That's to be expected because I've lost body weight. My body doesn't need as many calories just to maintain it when I'm not actually doing any exercise. Waist, my waist is 35, down 1 inch from the last time and down 4 inches from the start. So I'm glad that this has gone down, because these 3 months prior to that, and in fact the 2 prior to that as well, I've been kind of plateauing around 36, and it didn't matter what I did to my diet or if I exercised a little bit harder, it still seemed to stay the same. Exercising 4 times a week may have had an influence on that, and I'll mention a slight change I've made to my diet with regard to intake later on, so that again might have something to do with it. When I had the virus, I probably didn't feel like eating, but then because I said, I explained the kind of symptoms I had earlier on in the video, that was really only for maybe 2 or 3 days, and that's well over 3-4 weeks ago now. So I don't think it would still be an issue. Visceral fat level was 14, now down to 13. That's good. That's definitely a number I want to see continue dropping down. It's still above what it was before when I went to Gold's gym, but when I was at Gold's it was 12, and then when I bought these new scales it went up to 15. So if 15 equals 12, then 13 could equal 10. Let me know what you think in the comments below, because I think you've got to be under 11 or 12 to be healthy, or 12 is okay, but the lower the better. Let me know what you think about my visceral fat score. Sleep, so this is one that I talked about earlier, and I think this is where there may be some issues. You can pause the video and look at the individual monthly scores, but the averages for the quarter, I'm average in overall sleep 7 hours and 5 minutes, which is okay. I'm happy with that. The deep sleep is 5 hours and 20. Sorry, the light sleep is 5 hours and 24, an average over the period. The deep sleep average is 1 hour and 23, which is 19.8%, and that's the lowest it's ever been. So the quarter before was 27%, the quarter before that it was 23, and 23 and 25%. So it's gone from 23 being the lowest down to 19. And again, at the beginning I spoke about the new apartment and why I think that has had an effect. I've also upgraded to the Mi Band 6 from the Mi Band 4. This has now got a couple of extra things on it. One of them is REM sleep. Another one is my breathing at night, which gives me a sleep score. I think at the moment they're both still in the beta element, so it's not 100% finished. You can see there that my average REM sleep for the quarter was 56 minutes a night, and REM sleep is the dream sleep element, a very important part of sleep. Let's move on to my resting heart rate. So my resting heart rate for the quarter, you can see here, 58.5 for May, 57.5 for June, and then 66, and I put a small asterisk next to that. This is the app I've got on the phone that uses the Mi Band 6. I will put a screenshot of this, if I can remember how to do it, up on the screen, and you'll see the screenshot I've chosen is from the 1st of July. And I think that was one of the 2 nights when I had a little bit of a fever and I felt a bit weak from the coronavirus. You'll see that the resting heart rate was 85. Now my heart rate normally for resting is 56, 55, up to maybe 62, 63. If I've had alcohol the night before, then it maybe go up to 64 or 65, but that's very rare. But for on this one day to go from what it normally is to 85 is just crazy. The day before this, on the 30th of June, it was 59, so that's normal. The next day it went to 85. The day after it dropped down to 66. And the day after that, which was the 3rd of July, it dropped down to 56. So with regard to the virus, it looks like it affected my resting heart rate. It went from 59, which is normal, to 85, to 66, to 56, and then for the rest of that month, it's gone back to normal. So the average for the quarter of my resting heart rate is 60.6. So that is up from what it normally is. The average last time was 58.5, 59. That said, 60.6 still on this chart puts me in the excellent category. And again, since I've had the virus and I've been tracking this, I track it every morning. I just check it either on the way to the gym, now I've joined the gym, or when I'm sitting watching TV. It's back down to the 55, 56, 57 range. So that's it for resting heart rate, and that's it for my objective stats. So by way of a short summary, shocked is not the word. I thought that those scores were all pretty good, all going in the right direction. I wrote the little brief I gave on this page before I actually took the, before I used the scales and took my results, because I really thought the lack of exercise and being COVID positive and the light in the bedroom would have had a massive effect. I think my sleep has been affected, but that's down to the lights, the noise, and probably the stress of waiting for the flights to open up, because we are really in limbo here, just sitting around whiling away the days and the hours until we can leave. As for exercise, obviously very little exercise since we've been in the Airbnb because the gym is terrible, and with COVID I was quarantined for 10 days and I didn't probably go out for a walk or even go to that terrible gym for maybe another week after that until I was I thought I was 100% fit, and I'd been PCR tested again. The gym I recently joined, as of today now, I've probably only been there 6 times, and having not been to the gym that I normally go to for maybe 4 to 6 weeks, I don't think the 6 days worth of training now has given me the results that I've got here. So I'd be interested to see what you think about the scores and how they've improved, but actually the conditions I'm in have not improved. That's it for the objective stats. Let's now take a look at my more subjective stats. So 27-month update on my NMN experiment, May, June and July 2021, and these are my subjective stats. So first of all, let's take a look at my supplement regime for the last 3 months. Nicotinamide mononucleotide, 1.5 grams a day of NMN, 1.5 grams a day of trans-resveratrol, 1.5 grams a day of berberine, and I take 1 500 milligram capsule with my lunch, and we'll talk about how I break my fast at lunchtime, and I take the remaining gram when I have my main meal at about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Trimethylglycine, I'm taking 2 grams of that, 2 grams of TMG a day. Vitamin D3, 5,000 international units a day, and I take 10,000 on a Monday and a Thursday because my vitamin D levels were down. It's hotter here now, I'm spending more time outside, so my next blood test, I'll see if I can cut back on that if there's any need. Vitamin K2, I'm taking 120 micrograms of that, and that's the MK7 version. Magnesium, 250 milligrams of L-threonate. High molecular weight hyaluronic acid, and it is the high molecular weight you want, 200 milligrams of that per day. And then on the 1st, 2nd and 3rd of the month, I'm taking 2.4 grams of fisetin, and I'm also taking 2.4 grams of quercetin on the 1st, 2nd and 3rd of the month. Moving on, let's look at diet and fasting. Let's first of all look at fasting. As you all know, if you follow the channel, I practice intermittent fasting during the week. That's 8 p.m. till noon the next day. So dinner's normally around 7:30, and I don't eat again until I break my fast at noon. I take my supplements at the same time. At the weekend, then it's 8 p.m. to 9 a.m. But as I mentioned at the beginning, because we now moved out of our rental into an Airbnb. The first couple of weeks the kids were excited. It was a new environment, more of a holiday atmosphere. I probably was eating outside of those hours, but we've been here a couple of months now, so we've settled back down to the normal routine, or I've settled back down to the normal routine. So diet, as normal, my lunch is yogurt and parsley, and I also take all my supplements at this time during the day. And when I remember, it's a teaspoon of MCT oil in my coffee and my parsley, and back up to 1 tablespoon of parsley mixed into my yogurt. Afternoon snack is nuts or a berry shake. I've started to put into that because where we are now, there's a supermarket very close. I maybe have the odd medium-sized avocado full of good fats, and then I just reduce the amount of nuts I eat. My evening meal is meat or fish and vegetables, and whereas before it was mainly burgers and steak and then the odd piece of fish, I've tried to equal that out to 50-50, or I'm leaning more to eating more fish than red meat. Alcohol, beer and wine at the weekend, although I've cut back on the beer because the guy I used to drink with, he's off to Afghanistan or Iraq at the moment, so it's only really been 2 glasses of wine at the weekends. And again, for the 2 weeks where we were settling into the new apartment, I probably had a few more than 2 glasses of wine just on a Thursday or Friday night. That's all settled down now, so I'm back to 1 or 2 glasses of wine, but only at the weekends. So let's look at my overall feeling in regard to energy. If you take out maybe the 5 to 7 days around the COVID positive test date, where I probably, if I'd have been allowed out, wouldn't have felt as energetic when I was walking around. If you take it as 3 months as a whole, I think I'm going to say it's still high and steady. Now that I've joined a new gym, and the COVID test I had was, 3 weeks ago now, so it's all gone. My energy levels in the gym, which I'll come on to in more detail later, my overall feeling as far as energy is concerned is still high and steady. So other areas of overall feeling, napping. Yes, I have napped quite a lot, or I did nap quite a lot in that sort of 7 to 10 days when I had COVID. Not having good sleep at night and having COVID, I napped. That said, even though I'm still not getting as good a sleep as I normally did, I'm now COVID free for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not napping anymore at all. So napping, yes, but I think that was down to the COVID. Motivation, again, for the 7 to 10 days when I had the COVID, and maybe a couple of days after that, my motivation was low. I was just sort of mooching around the house. Now that's all gone and I've joined the new gym. My motivation is, as it was before, high, and looking forward to doing things, getting things done, etc. Gym performance, difficult one this. Obviously, when we left the rental villa, we moved into the Airbnb, I didn't know there was a gym. Then I got told there's a gym included in this rental. I went to look at it, really disappointed with what the quality was. I said, I'm not going to go here, it's going to be a waste of time. After about maybe 3 or 4 days, I thought I might as well make a best of a bad thing. So I went there and I trained for a couple of days, even though it was very restricted with what they had. Then there was the COVID bout. That said, now that I'm back in the gym I've signed up to, and I'll try and remember and take a picture of it from the internet and stick it up here. Really good gym, lots of good equipment. Because I'm not working, I'm able to go there at 7 o'clock in the morning, train, and then come home and still got the rest of the day. I would say that I've been going there now maybe 6 or 7 days. I don't think my performance is back to what it was 2 months ago, but I reckon within another week or two I'm going to be where I was before with regard to my gym performance, which is good. Injuries, no injuries whatsoever. Sickness, I suppose, unless you call, which I suppose it is, COVID a sickness, nothing else apart from that. And as I said, even when I had that, really mild symptoms, and probably, if you think about my heart rate, which I've spoken about, 2 or 3 days where I think my body had an issue with it, and after that the sickness was gone. So that's it for my subjective stats. So I hope you found that interesting. Some good results there compared to my last 3-month results, and also compared to when I started over 2 years ago. It looks as though getting COVID affected really only my resting heart rate for a couple of days, although it did bump down my average score for the quarter, but it's still quite high. Again, I think I was lucky. The symptoms I had were extremely mild. All I needed to do was quarantine myself in the spare room. I took 2 paracetamol tablets, I think for 2 or 3 days, every 4 to 6 hours, and Strepsils, which is a throat lozenge, just so that I didn't get a raspy throat. The next big thing I've got on the horizon is my 3-monthly blood test that I thought I was going to be doing in the Philippines. It looks like now I'm going to be doing that here in Dubai as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. As always, please take care, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.